Welcome, everybody, to the Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast. I'm one half of your host, Santi, here with Steve. We're going to be talking about the draft and how dumb and useless and not game-changing and groundbreaking as Triple H said it was going to be. Honestly, it was a waste of time. It did nothing. It refreshened up the rosters for television, I guess. But we just got an announcement that makes all of this just like purely irrelevant. Steve, just kind of initial thoughts on the whole draft as a whole.
Santi, I think we did a video like the other day talking about how we were going to describe who was going to be the first world heavyweight champion. And this new announcement just completely debunks it. Like, this is the dumbest shit I have seen WWE pull in quite some time. Okay, maybe not the dumbest, but this makes absolutely no sense because what happens? Roman's going to get added into this one of these triple threat matches.
Well, that's the thing, right? Now he can. So the announcement prior to the draft was that there was going to be a new world title that would be exclusive to Raw. Actually, no, that would be exclusive to whichever brand Roman Reigns wasn't on. Roman Reigns was drafted to SmackDown, presumably making the World Heavyweight Championship exclusive to Raw and only exclusive to members of Raw. And you would think that that'd be the case considering they announced the title and then they did the draft, making specific members of the roster exclusive to Raw. So if you are a person with a brain, you would assume, okay, we have a roster that is exclusive to Raw and a roster that is exclusive to SmackDown. And we have a title that is exclusive to Raw. One would assume that if you are exclusive to Raw, you are the only ones that are allowed to fight for the exclusive title to Raw, the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, we just had an announcement saying that now there is a tournament that is starting for the World Heavyweight Championship that will include members of the Raw roster and members of the SmackDown roster, thus making the whole brand exclusivity thing completely pointless and completely irrelevant. Because what's most likely going to lead to is, hey, if somebody from SmackDown wins it, they just have to automatically move to Raw. Oh, doy, why don't we just do the draft after the tournament when we can bring that person over exclusively to Raw? It's stupid. It's dumb. You know, like we originally, in that original video, we were only listing members of the Raw roster that would have conceivably had a chance at winning that title because that made sense. But now this brings the likes of Theory into the question, Bobby Lashley into the question, Karrion Kross. Just kidding. He's going to be on Main Event soon. But I'm just saying, it is going to make for a more exciting tournament, and I'm all for that, sure, because more faces, more chances. But then the logic behind this draft is completely null and void.
Yeah, and the one thing I really don't like is it's two individual triple threat matches on both brands, and then the two competitors go against each other that same night to make it a one-on-one match for the title. I'm sorry. This new title deserves something better than just a straight up one-on-one match, because at the end of the day, we completely have eliminated Finn, Cody, and Seth being able to all compete for this title, like kind of like the dream booking, the fantasy booking that we were going after. Now, two of those three are not going to be involved in this World Heavyweight title match. So I'm just thinking, okay, Monday Night Raw, they're probably going to go Seth, Cody, and then one of the two biggest, I'd say, faces don't even get a shout. And then you go, the guys over on SmackDown, you're going to get Bobby Lashley, Theory, sadly, yes, Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross has been rumored to be the next opponent of Roman Reigns anyways. So now it's completely irrelevant what they have done to make this title a lot more prestigious. And that's the one thing you and I said in the last video. It was, oh, we want this title to be like the prestige title and not like the title that John Cena won and then CM Punk showed back up and be like, no, this is the real title. This is exactly what they're going down that road. They're going to make this title look like the third tier title. It's going to be made to look like a mid-card title at this point.
Yeah. And I think all of this could have been alleviated by saving the draft to after Night of Champions, because I was already saying this draft is weird in terms of making Backlash kind of lame. right? Like 2 SmackDown women go fighting for the Raw Women's title. It's just weird, bizarre. And I was like, okay, you know what? Poor timing, sure. But now it just makes this tournament also weird, bizarre, and in kind of irrelevant if you think about it. Had they just pulled the trigger and done a regular Backlash with the roster that they had, a regular Night of Champions with the roster that they had, and then done the draft, all of this would have made a heck of a lot more sense. So it's you know, I wanted to get excited over these Triple H announcements, but they're starting to become like borderline Tony Khan announcements, where his big announcement is, you know, hey, the whatever title is going to be defended in Winnipeg. Like, Tony, that wasn't an announcement. They're starting to become like this. And, you know, it's the old adage from George W. Bush, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again. Right? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about what's going on here. And it's silly. And, you know, I know that I'm just a 30-year-old adult focusing on fictional storylines that just like, at the end of the day are fiction, but like I care about this. I want to care about the prestige of the title and whoever is running it, and this is kind of tossing that by the wayside.
Yeah, it comes down to really wanting to enjoy the product, and we have been enjoying the product over the past several months, minus Raw after WrestleMania. But at the end of the day, like, this title was an exciting announcement, a gorgeous title, something that we can finally get a full-time champion that we want to be excited about. Excuse me, full-time champion that we get excited about, instead of just seeing Roman show up once a month. And even Seth cut a great promo about being a fighting champion. And now we are going to receive a lackluster, what I feel is a lackluster tournament that is going to be very predictable. It's probably going to be Cody Rhodes versus X. And that's where I'm like, okay, now that goes right back to what you said in the last video. Cody's rise to fame is just going to be, oh, you couldn't beat Roman, here's a title for you.
Yeah. And also the whole concept of brand exclusivity. Like, I'm used to the WWE tossing this to the side within at least a couple of months. You know, I was expecting that by October they'd be flying between different brands, but this has got to be record time in terms of just completely saying screw you to whatever this brand split, brand exclusivity that we were supposed to get here. There are even rumors of brand exclusive pay-per-views and whatnot. Like, what's the point now? What is the point if now the brand exclusive title isn't even brand exclusive to begin with? And again, this tournament could have totally made sense had you just done the draft afterwards. Because what does this mean now, Steve? You know what this means is that anyone that comes through from SmackDown, like, we know they're going to lose. They're not going to win this. They can't win this. They can't win this because the whole point is to have the title on a separate show from Roman Reigns. They literally cannot win this. So it still comes down to the people that we talked about on Raw. Unless they're going to do something like, hey, if you win it from SmackDown, you have to come to Raw. Then why do the fucking draft in the first place?
It's completely irrelevant. And you look at this like, okay, I want to do like a fantasy. Who's going to be the triple threat on SmackDown? I got a feeling, okay, we're going to get AJ Styles, Theory, Solo for one match, maybe, Montez Ford.
Sure, maybe Jey Uso,
Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, maybe,
and
Karrion Kross. Oh, and maybe if they decide to give him a shot, LA Knight. But really, there's 6 guys out of 7 or 8 that we could pick. Maybe if you want to throw Grayson Waller in there, but I doubt it's too early for him. But you look at Raw, we could probably name 12.
Yeah.
That deserve to be in this position because the draft was drafted that way for the world title to be exclusive to Raw. So did somebody in the back go, hey, throw the hands up? This is not fair to the SmackDown guys. How is it not fair? You've got the biggest prize and on the biggest network. Leave it alone and go back to what you were doing. When I watched this announcement, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what was the title of this video, what was the point of the draft? Because really, it's mind-blowing that they had something so good and they're moving in the right direction. And I'm the one who doesn't say this. This is straight up Vince booking. And I refuse to use that term, but this is straight up Vince booking. And it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it is just going to lead to exciting matches on SmackDown. But I do think that, by default, those matches are spoiled and worthless because we know that whoever is on SmackDown is just isn't going to win this tournament, because the whole essence and the whole soul and heart of this tournament was meant for Raw. That's what it was meant for. It was meant for a 3-hour show. A 3-hour show can jam pack a tournament. A 2-hour show can't. I don't think that it properly can. And now, I wouldn't be surprised if now we're going to be dealing with shenanigans happening, or anyway, either way, it's now opening up these possibilities that aren't ideal. And with them not being like, and we're used to not ideal situations, but at the very least, those were ideal situations that, we could see coming, like maybe instead of it being a one-on-one match on Raw, shenanigans happen, it ends up being a triple threat. But all I know is that if you're on the SmackDown roster, you're not winning this, and which makes your matches, unfortunately for me, irrelevant. As fun as I'm sure they're gonna be. Like, I just know that the end result of whoever comes out of this tournament from SmackDown is borderline worthless.
Can I ask you one opinion question?
Sure. Does
Roman somehow get put into this tournament?
They kind of alluded to it already, right? With the Paul Heyman promo. So don't be surprised if that is the case.
Imagine that. Roman Reigns at Night of Champions, champion versus contender for a title, and then Roman still doesn't end up losing anything. This could be a segment or a segue into Roman finally getting pinned
without losing anything. It's possible.
And that goes right back to the Seth Rollins story.
Yeah.
So this is so fucked. I am not a fan of it. It makes everything irrelevant. And I think that's where we end it.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching this video, this episode of Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to leave it a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. If you are following Steve's going to tell you where to find him.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Mr. Tesh. I'm on the road to 10,000 followers. And over on my TikTok at Mr. Tesh Sandy.
You can find me over on twitch.tv/SantiZap or over on TikTok over at Mr. SantiZap. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast. Be good people. Cheers.